It's time for the Greg Kampe Show, presented by RJ's Pub. Let's go live to RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Here's Coach Kampe and the voice of the Grizzlies.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Greg Kampe Show. We are live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. As always, the Greg Kampe Show brought to you by RJ's Pub and also by Henry Ford Sports Medicine, the official team physicians for Oak University and you. For more information, visit henryford.com/athletes. My name is Neil Rule, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies. Today we have Associate Head Coach Jeff Smith. And Smitty, for those that don't know, our thoughts are with the Kampe family right now. Coach Kampe's mom passed away over the weekend, so he is not available tonight. But as we said, our thoughts, our prayers, everything are with the Kampe family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday was a tough day on a lot of fronts. And I give him a ton of credit to be able to maintain his composure and his focus and walk into that arena and coach his team. It, just one more example of who he is and what he's all about, because the most important thing to that guy is his team and this program. And yesterday was really, really hard. Would have been nice to get a win. That might have softened the blow a little bit, so to speak. But, thankfully we got him through it, and he was able to be with his family today. So giving that Kampe family, going to raise them up and keep them in our thoughts and prayers for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And hit that locker room really, really hard, as you can tell right now. So certainly our thoughts are with Coach Kampe. But appreciate you, Smitty, stepping in, on short notice like that to stand in there. We're going to put the show on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
The show goes on.
The show goes on, and the show must go on. So that's what we're going to do. Remember, you can get involved, too. Send us tweets with the hashtag AskKampe. It'll be Ask Smitty, but we'll do it Ask Kampe on Twitter. But Smitty, we'll put you right in the fire a little bit, as you sit down. Obviously, the weekend was not optimal. A couple of grind 'em out road style college basketball games. Friday night at Youngstown State on ESPN2. It was a high level college basketball game in a great atmosphere, in a tough environment, all that kind of stuff. And in my mind, two good teams went toe to toe.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, I think for Oakland fans are used to being in an environment like that. That's our home. That's our home arena. That's
right.
Our home crowd. It's not very often our guys get to go on the road in this league and play in an environment like that. It was awesome. I mean, I give Jared and the athletics department at Youngstown credit to have that place packed the way it was and to have that kind of atmosphere. I think our guys loved it. I mean, I don't think we were intimidated at all. I think we came out because, again, we're used to playing in front of people like that.
Right.
And, it was as good a mid-major college basketball game as you're going to be a part of. And I think as a fan, no matter whether you rooted for Youngstown or Oakland, you appreciated the effort and you appreciated the game as it was. But obviously, wish we would have gotten out of there with a win. But in this league, Neil, I mean, it's we talk about it all the time. I mean, it's night in and night out. It doesn't matter where you go, with the exception maybe of a couple places where you feel like you should win and you're probably going to win. There's a bunch of teams that can beat anybody anywhere. And you look at what happened with Northern Kentucky and Milwaukee. Northern Kentucky's up 23 at home and they lose. And now those guys got to go on the road and they got to play 7 of their last 8 games on the road. And Milwaukee feels like they just went in and stole one like we did when we were in Northern Kentucky. So, what we had to face over the course of the weekend, it was a tremendous challenge. Friday night was so intense and it took so much from us, and then to have to turn and play again at 1:00 on Sunday afternoon. I mean, that's life in college basketball, and I give our guys credit. I mean, we couldn't put the ball in the hole to start the game yesterday, but man, did we compete? I mean, we sat down and we tried to guard them, and then Spear got going, and we didn't do a very good job of keeping him off the glass, and we broke down a couple of times. And once he got going, he's one of the best players in the league. And so, you tip your hat to him. We didn't want to lose those 2 games, but we still are in a position where we can control our own destiny, and we got to come back home. We need our fans to do what Youngstown did. We got to fill that place on Thursday and Saturday, and we got to get 2 wins this week.
And that is really what it boils down to. And this is me, saying this, every time we go in somewhere, it's ESPN, it's a big crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like, how come we never get the sleepy Thursday?
That's Oakland. That's what you want. I think that's one of the things that it's a credit to Coach Kampe and the teams that have been here before these guys and for this group too. I mean, people know the Oakland brand, they know the Oakland name, and they know what it means to play Oakland. And, so you're going to get the best shot for people. And that's what you want. That's why we do this. You don't want to be somewhere where people don't care. And people here care, and people in this league know that when Oakland comes to town, it's going to be a hell of a game. And, for us at the end, when this is all done, those things are going to pay huge dividends.
No doubt about it. Associate Head Coach Jeff Smith in today. Shout out, too, to Gary Gilb's journalism class at Oakland University. Sports journalism class is here in the building tonight. But learning from the best, Smitty, no doubt.
Well, and I think Coach Kampe, that's probably going to be the reason he's going to be disappointed because, that's his thing. He was a sports journalism major and takes a lot of pride in what Gary has done with that class. And he used to be a big part of that class. And so really appreciate you all being here tonight and being a part of this. And hopefully you've got some questions for me through the hashtag Ask Kampe. But thanks for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. But as you talked about Thursday, Saturday, back at it here at home. And there's some things I'm going to get into with you a little bit later on in the show. I want to talk about the Horizon League schedule with you because the talk about how the schedule might change. You experienced it during your time in the MAC at Central Michigan, so I think you're uniquely qualified to discuss that. Blake Lampman is in the house, too. We'll talk to him coming up in about 10 minutes as well. And, I think Blake is a good, kind of segue into this topic, Smitty, because we're getting into February now and the bumps and the bruises. And, I see Blake in the weight room stretching it out before every single game, getting the treatment after the game's over, getting the treatment. Guys, and Jalen Moore is an example of this, Smitty. We're at that time right now. Guys are locking in because really it's now or never now. We're getting into February.
Yeah, and our health is at a premium for us, right? I mean,
right.
I think we've all seen, especially with this team. I was watching our game with Fort Wayne from early December the last couple of days as we're preparing, to do the prep for them. And I don't even recognize that team. We weren't healthy. We weren't connected, and not because our guys didn't want to be connected. We went through about 4 weeks where we didn't have guys practicing. We had guys just playing in games, and we weren't connected at all. And so now the number one priority is that we stay healthy, we stay fresh so that we're rested because these guys have logged a lot of minutes. And as we get into February, they're going to continue logging a lot of minutes. Now, the thing I'll say about Blake, and Jalen as well, I've never been around a guy. I've been around a lot of guys who work very, very hard and spend a lot of time at it. But I've never been around anybody that works harder than Blake Lampman at taking care of his body, at preparing himself to be able to play in the games. He's in there early in the morning getting up shots. He comes back in the afternoon and gets up shots. He does yoga. He's stretching. He eats right. Blake Lampman is the epitome of what you want for a guy on the roster. And if we had 15 guys like him, our job would be so much easier. We've got a great group of guys, but it's a credit to Blake and Jalen and the leadership that they provide on a daily basis. They've got us poised to make a great run in February, and I'm real thankful for them, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about Jalen Moore, one thing is for sure, and the resume dictates it, he's locked in. He is healthy because that explosive first step, and I've talked about this a lot during the radio broadcast. And you go back to last Monday, by the way, we didn't have the show because we were at Callahan Hall, putting in work against Detroit Mercy. He went toe-to-toe with Antoine Davis. And Antoine Davis couldn't stop him.
No.
That's the reality.
The show last Monday was him.
Yes.
And then our team was locked in and we guarded and executed the game plan. Our defense in that first half against Detroit was as good a half, not only that we've played this year, but since we've gone to that zone, that's the best half of basketball we've played defensively. And it was everybody. You talk about being connected. Our guys were locked in and they were connected. And it was awesome to see. And, I think people wondered after the IUPUI game, I think our guys, they knew Detroit was coming. And I think maybe we had a little bit of where we looked a little bit past IUPUI at the time, which is just part of its human nature. But when we walked into Callahan Hall, we were ready to put on a show, and we did that.
No, absolutely. And by the way, too, you and I talked about this a lot. For those that listen to the pregame show about IUPUI, you see them getting closer. They're going to beat somebody.
Yeah. They're going to not be us.
It's not us. Yeah. That's the way that it is, though. And you see them, as crazy as their season has been, you see them rounding into form. You see this, right? You see movement. Nobody is linear. in college basketball.
You can't be linear. You have to continue. You're either going to evolve or you're going to die. And that's why, as you touched on, like as you go into February, you need to be healthy, you need to be fresh. And I did speak briefly with Coach Kampe today just about what we wanted to do over the next couple of days. And we both kind of said at the same time that it's time. It's time now to make sure we're doing everything we can to maintain our health and to maintain our freshness. Some of the guys that don't play a lot of minutes will get some extra work, but for guys like Blake and Jalen and Trey, who are logging as many minutes as they are, we got to dial it back for them because we need them on Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. We don't need them to be great on Mondays and Tuesdays. Mondays and Tuesdays now are for the guys that don't play much. Wednesday is the good day for those guys to prepare, but after that, they got to be ready to go on Thursdays and Saturdays. And the great thing about our veterans is they understand it. They know what they need to do. They prepare themselves. So we have to do our part to make sure that we help them prepare themselves from a health and safety standpoint.
How do you fight that as a coach, as a coaching state? Yeah, I mean, is it one of the tougher things that you do? Because you want to install everything, and you want to be ready for every outcome, and you want every ounce that you guys put in to be used to maximum efficiency. How hard is it to keep the dog on the leash a little bit?
Yeah, it's you got to really have a good feel for your team. I've never worked for anybody that has a better feel for the pulse of the team than Coach Kampe. He really understands it. He's also not afraid. Some coaches I think have fear that if they're not practicing and spending hours every day going out on the floor, watching film and doing this, that they're not doing their job. And it's quite the opposite. And what this thing has become now with our calendar, you got 8 weeks in the summer, and then you come back and you start your team workouts for 4 hours a week in September. By the end of September, you're going full go. And it's become year round. And you can't, it's not the old days where you got 6 weeks of 2-a-days because you don't touch them from the end of the season until October 15th. And so it's so long now. It never stops. It's completely circular. And so you've got to have a good feel for your team. And at this point, we know who we are. And I think our guys know that we're going to hang our hat on our defense. We got to continue to guard the three. We got to continue to keep people off the free throw line, and we've got to find a way to rebound the ball better. We're just, there's some nights where you think we've kind of turned the corner, and then other nights like yesterday, our first shot defense was unbelievable, and we gave those two big kids easy putbacks or second chance opportunities for somebody else. And if we can rebound the ball, we're going to be in great shape. And our offense is what it is. We're starting to make shots at a higher clip. We struggled a little bit yesterday. But, again, you're playing a 1 o'clock game after playing a game that we played at 9 o'clock on Friday night. And it's only an hour between Youngstown and Pittsburgh, but that's still an hour. And then you get into a hotel at 2 in the morning. And, it's part of it. But, we know that for us, we've got to hang our hat on being able to defend and take care of the basketball and get to the free throw line. If we can do that, we're going to be in a position to win this.
Which is inherently harder to do. And I talked about this a lot during the broadcast because I'm looking down, reading the free throw numbers at halftime. I believe Youngstown State was either 3 free throws or 5 free throws. It was one of the two. And then yesterday, I think, was 3 free throws again. That will not be the case this weekend when we play at the arena. It just won't.
Right.
We're one of the best teams in the league at getting to the free throw line. It's what we do. It's part of our DNA, as you said. And that's why games on the road are so hard. And you have games like yesterday that happen. You get about 4 of those a year where you go on the road and it just ain't there. And I say ain't for effect.
Yeah, and you know it going into it. It's hard. We've made more free throws than our opponents have shot.
That's it right there. Yeah.
And it's what we do. It's part of the benefit of the zone is it keeps us from fouling. It keeps people out of the paint for the most part. And, hopefully this weekend we get back to it. The other thing that's crazy, I've never seen anything like this. Teams that don't make free throws make them all against us. It's insane to me. Like we've got teams that are guys that are shooting in the 40s and 50s and they go 4 for 4, 5 for 6. Like I've never seen anything like it. Hopefully that stops. They get back to being who they are. But for us, we've got to continue to get to the free throw line. We've got a bunch of games at home coming up, and hopefully, as you said, we should shoot more free throws at home. It's just the nature of the beast, and if we can do that, we're going to be fine.
Well, I mean, Smitty, I think as a coaching staff, you guys have to work on your free throw defense a little bit more.
I don't know what to do. The kid from Youngstown did a great job. He tried to act like he was talking to his teammate, waving his hand in front of our guy's face when Rocket shot those 3 free throws, and maybe we've got to start trying to come up with some gimmicks like that. But
it's like a zone free throw defense or something like that.
I don't know what we can do there, But I think that we've done a great job of keeping people off the free throw line. We always know if we're not playing great early in the games because the opponents are shooting free throws and we haven't forced any turnovers. And when those numbers are, the free throw number is low, the turnover number starts to come up, we're really locked in and we're guarding. Youngstown came in and they into our building and they hit us with a heater where guys that were shooting 28% make 4 threes and 5 threes respectively. I mean, that's going to happen, And then we went to Youngstown Friday night and Cohill. I mean, the guy banks in 2 threes and throws up a runner. I swear to God, his eyes were closed and they all went in. And that's basketball. That's just the way it goes. And you would know over the course of time that's not going to be the way things are going to play out. On a night like Friday night, you're trying to win every game, but you walk out of an arena on Friday night after a game like that, hey, this is what we thought we are. We're just going to toe to toe with the team right now that's the best team in our league, and it went right to the wire. And if we can continue to play with that intensity, and we can do that over the course of the remainder of the schedule, we're going to be in a great position as we head into March.
All right, Smitty, let's do this. We'll take our first break of the show. When we come back, I'll be joined by Blake Lampman. You are listening to the Greg Kampe Show. We are live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. All right, Blake, you ready for the hard-hitting questions? Give us a status on it. Talk about the arch. Has he got anything else?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know I can see it. Yes. Yes, sir. Okay.
3 months of card approval. Open your Visa signature card today at oukreditunion.org and start enjoying the benefits of more cash back. Full details at oukreditunion.org.
They say consistency is the key to success.
Yeah, make that mic even closer. There you go. Cool. I'm pulling you up right now.
Just find the success and prickly joy without ultra. The perfect balance of taste and 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's a light weather if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody, to RJ's Pub. We're here in Rochester Hills, another episode of the Greg Kampe Show. My name is Neil World, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies, and of course, our guest here today from your Golden Grizzlies basketball team, the junior sharpshooter. He is Blake Lampman. Blake, what's going on, man?
How are you doing, Neil? Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely, Blake. It is good to have you out here. Looking forward to chopping it up with you. As we have done in the past. First off, I want to get into the art of shooting with you. A lot of people don't know your brother is a professional football player. I want to talk about him a little bit as well. But first off, I've been talking about you a lot in the Henry Ford injury reports before games and stuff like that. Give everybody an update. How you feeling? How's it going?
It's all right. We're day to day right now. Like Smitty kind of alluded to, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday it can hurt as bad as it wants. But for 40 minutes, Thursdays and Saturdays, it's got to be all right. So, like I said, day to day, and we're trying to get through the season.
Yeah. What about that, man? What goes into that? Because I see you, as I said earlier, I'll go in the weight room and run on the treadmill, and you're in there stretching. And I'm like, man, I don't like stretching. But you're doing it like 40 minutes in there.
Yep. I gotta get the body right before the game. But our training staff does a great job. Chris Curran, he's been helping me out and getting me all right. I know I played like 39 minutes on Thursday. I think it caught up to me a little bit, or Friday, and then it caught up to me a little bit on Sunday in the first half. But we got through the weekend, and we're gonna be ready to go Thursday, hopefully. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And some home games too, less travel. What about that? We're in the bus, we're in the plane. That's not good for business, is it?
Yeah, it's a huge advantage to be home for 2 games, and everybody's got to play road games too, though. So they're going through it, and I'm excited to put some home wins together here soon, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Blake, I did want to wrap with you too. I always like having this discussion. You're a guy who makes a lot of 3-point shots. Like, that's your thing. You're the shooter out there. The mentality of being a shooter, right? Because you have nights where sometimes you're in there and you have those 6 for 12 nights, 6 for 11 nights, 7 for 12, those types of things. And then you also, the nature of being a shooter is sometimes a 2 for 10 night comes into play sometimes too. How do you get past that? How do you get past that feeling of you trust your mechanics, you trust the practice, and Smitty always talks about that. You shoot the ball to your hands bleed, and those types of things in the gym. How do you get past that when you've put in the work, but you don't get the results?
It's tough, and I talked to a lot of our managers about it. That kicker for I think it was Dallas,
right?
He missed like 4 extra points, and then we were texting like, "Hey, he just needs to hit like a 54-yarder and he'll be back."
Yeah.
That's kind of like if you go 0 for 4 and you throw up one at the end of the buzzer because the shot clock's going down and you sink it, you're back. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So you can't have a conscious. Every shot you got to think is going in, and I'm still getting better at it as I get older and as I kind of understand basketball more but it is tough, but that's even great shooters. Even Steph Curry has nights where he's going 1 for 8, so it's just understanding that the next one's going in and continue to stay consistent in your warm up and your routine, and you'll start seeing balls go in. So
it's no memory, right?
That's right.
I like that.
That's right.
And the next one is going in. Blake, and as we talked about too, your brother is a we were talking about kickers there and stuff like that. Your brother is a professional football player. I don't know if a lot of people know that out there. What's kind of been his career trajectory?
Oh yeah, he's getting older. He's 29, but there's no reason why he can't be a Julian Edelman in the league. So he just signed with a CFL team in Vancouver, and he's going to try to get some film. And you never know what can happen. I think he still's got some good years of ball left, but he gave me the blueprint. We got a very similar past. He was under recruited, went to Ferris State, and balled out there, and then was an undrafted guy in the league. So, like I said, he gave me the blueprint on how to be professional, and I'm just trying to continue to follow it. So.
Does it taste a little sweeter too? Like when you play all these Power 5 teams that we play, and you come out there and you put a 4 for 8 from 3 or a 5 for 10 from 3, because you talked about it, like being under recruited and those types of things. And I know you're not putting that above the team or above winning basketball games, but that is real, right? I mean, you do feel that, right?
No,
or are you a robot?
It's cool, but I'm just happy to be out there, especially with this injury. Like, I thought my season was going to be done like a week ago. And now I'm playing in, ESPN Plus or whatever. So I'm just happy every day I get to go out on the court. I got a different mindset now of just like, hey man, like I said, my season was supposed to be over. We're still going, and I got a different mindset right now. So it's cool. One thing I'll say about my brother too is, he's just as competitive as I am, obviously. Yeah. And the other day he told me, he was like, I'm trying to outplay you. I'm trying to play football longer than you play basketball. And I said, that's cool. I'm trying to outpay you. So I'm trying to, we got different. No, I'm just playing, but that's cool. Like I said, there's no reason why he can't be a Julian Edelman in the league. He's 100% the strongest wide receiver right now. And when he was at his combine, I think he had like 28 reps on the bench press. So I tied for wide receivers. Like I'm taking him in a strength strength battle with anyone.
You got 28 reps in you?
No, I got 28 reps, but
you did yoke up though over the offseason.
I tried, but it's a little different. It's a little different. He doesn't like taking pictures because I'm like 3 inches taller than him, but he'll make sure that he's stronger than me in every aspect. So it's a different sport, though. It's a different sport. So
talking with Blake Lampman here on the Greg Kampe Show, live from RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Blake, you remember the Horizon League All-Freshman team all the way back in 2020. Back when all cars ran on gasoline and stuff like that. But thank you. I thought that was pretty good. I did. I thought that one was a pretty good one. No, but seriously though, Blake, what's the biggest difference other than physical? Because I've talked about that, how you've changed your body, especially over the summer. Like you could see the definition change and everything like that. What's the biggest difference in Blake Lampman today from when Blake Lampman stepped on campus at Oakland?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
I think that I talk about the mindset, and when you're a freshman, you're not really thinking like, I need it now, I need this now, I need this now. I'm trying to get a ring, I'm trying to go to the NCAA tournament. You're just like, oh, well, who's this team I'm playing in the league? Like I don't even know who this team is. So when you're a freshman, and I talk about this a lot. Like I don't really believe in like having a regret, because I think everything kind of happens for a reason, but. One thing I wish I had a different mindset my freshman year for X and Brad. They were fifth-year guys, and I'm logging a lot of minutes as a freshman. And I was kind of in over my head a little bit. So that's one thing I wish I had the mindset I have now. I'm trying to like teach that to the younger guys. Like, this goes very fast. You have to understand. Like for Jalen, for Keaton, we're trying to get to the NCAA tournament. It's their last year. So I think that's probably the biggest difference is my mindset from. When I was a freshman to right now.
Almost an awareness. You're trying. Just being aware, like understanding the gravity of every single moment that's out.
Right, exactly. And like opportunities, we're playing in front of big crowds, like Youngstown. I mean, I think I've only played there twice, and if you combine the entire stands, both times I played there, it probably wasn't even close to what it was, Thursday night, or Friday night. So. It's just having the right perspective and the right mindset, and like I said, it's very tough. It's very tough for freshmen and sophomores to even understand that, even juniors some. But I'm going into my fourth year, and I'm like, my clock's ticking too. So I'm like, we gotta get this done for Jay and Keat, and like I said, it's a mindset thing. So
that's a pretty insightful answer, man. I mean, for real, because that takes self-awareness, right? To be able to, say, hey. That's interesting because I never thought about it like that. Like when you came in, Brad and X were here, and you've been here a long time. You're a veteran, man. No, but again, though, I mean, it is like when you walk in here as a freshman, it is bigger than you, right? Like when you walk in there,
100%. Like I don't know if I could have done much more. Like I'm not going to say I wasn't like working hard,
right?
Obviously, but
you just weren't aware.
Yeah, and like it. The weight when we lost, I think it was Green Bay their senior year. The weight probably, I mean, obviously didn't hit me as hard as it hit them. I'm thinking, what's future looking like?
All right, I got the lay of the land. I get how this works a little.
And they're like, all right, now what? They're done. That's the last time. So like it always kind of it hits me, but it makes this moment so much more precious to me now because I understand that. So.
Blake, about this team this year, certainly as league play picked up around the holidays. After we got through the Christmas break and you guys came back, this team seemed to turn a corner a little bit in what you guys were doing. What was the difference? Like, what changed?
I think health changed a lot, but I think we kind of understood, like, we got to pick it up. And we also understood that, 1 through 5, even 1 through 7, there's no doubt that we're one of the top talented teams in the league. So I think we kind of understood that. We picked up we started locking in on scout. We started locking in on, because with the zone, you got to know, should I guard this guy at, 35 feet? Is he going to knock down a shot from there? Or is he going to, is he trying to drive right hand? So and our staff does a phenomenal job at, getting us prepared for games and whatnot. And it was just kind of understanding that we are so talented. Our staff is so good. Our staff works so hard. We just have to execute. And, I think this weekend we got away. Like we all know Cohill can go off. We all know Spears can go off. Like we knew that going into the game. And I just think execution was a little off. And like I said, man, we're at the top. We're a top talented team in the league, no doubt, 1 through 5. And, once we execute, I think there's not a team in the league that really can have our number like Youngstown kind of got us. So. We're in good shape. We are in good shape. I don't think anyone should panic.
So I was going to bring that up, like, and I'm going to ask Smitty this later, so he should listen right now, so that way he knows what's coming up. But you look at the standings. There's 4 teams at 9-3, and then there's you guys at 7-5. I mean, I'm not a huge math guy, but like that's a lot of teams that are on equal footing. You guys are right there with everybody coming to your place for the most part.
Yeah, no doubt. And we put ourselves in a great situation, getting 2 road wins at NKU and Wright State early on in league play. And, like I said, it hurts bad that we lost 2 to Youngstown and Robert Morris, especially how we handled them at the house. So, like I said, we're in a great situation. I think obviously it would have been nice to get at least 1 or 2 wins this weekend, but we got a lot of home games coming in. You know how hard it is to win. You know when you're at our house. So I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks, man. I'm hoping for a great atmosphere. We need a lot of people to come out, but when we step on that blacktop, it's time. It's time.
There it is. Well, Blake, man, I appreciate you coming through. I always love rapping with you, man. You got a future in this business if you ever want to do this, man, for sure.
Man, put a headset on me. I feel like I'm playing the game, so I'm excited, man. I like being here. It's cool. I appreciate you having me.
All right, Blake Lampman, everybody give it up for Blake. When we come back, it's the Ask Kampe part of the show. So tweet now or forever hold your peace if you got a question for Coach Smith. Anything about that's going on with Oakland basketball, fire away. We will get to those when we come back. You are listening to the Greg Kampe Show. We're live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills.
All right, well, great seeing you guys. Thank you.
All right. Man, that was a lifetime. That's cool. Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
Welcome back to RJ's Pub here in Rochester Hills. Everybody, it is the Greg Kampe Show. My name is Neil Rule, Associate Head Coach Jeff Smith in for Coach Kampe today. Happy to have you all out here. Another big crowd on hand, as there always has been all season long. So big thank you to everybody. Golden Grizzly Sports Journalism class here. Gary Gilbert in the house. So, seats are scarce. Hopefully seats are scarce at the arena coming up this weekend. Coach Smith and I will get into this weekend's action and get his thoughts on the Horizon League standings as well. But first, we're going to take it to the streets, Smitty.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Hashtag Ask Kampe, Pittsburgh Marty, who we saw out there at Robert Morris. Coach, great seeing you and Neil here in Pittsburgh, coming off 2 tough losses at Youngstown and Robert Morris. What's the current mindset of the team? How do you keep them motivated and healthy in the dog days of late January and February when the mental and the physical exhaustion, I guess you could say, set in?
First of all, Marty, we got to talk about something. I don't know how you can take Coach to somewhere to get him a quote-unquote Philly cheesesteak and it's got lettuce on it. Let's start with that.
We need to talk about that.
That's not even that's sacrilege. All right. So
that's a steak sandwich.
Yeah, you don't put lettuce on a cheesesteak. But all right. Moving on.
No, Smitty, let's not move on from this, man. Let's not move. You cannot have lettuce on a steak sandwich.
I mean, can you imagine Marty coming to Detroit and we go to a Coney Island and we get him Coney dogs and put lettuce on it?
Yeah, they have it.
I mean, what are we doing?
No onions or something like that?
And it's crazy.
Do better, Marty. Let's just leave it at you're still your friend of the program.
Absolutely.
We still appreciate you, but we just differ at this.
There's no question.
All right, what were we talking about?
No, in the mindset of our team, our guys are not going to waver over what happened on the road this last weekend. We went into two very, very difficult places to play. One, because of the crowd and the environment and the people we were playing, and then two, because of the people we were playing. Robert Morris didn't have the atmosphere that Youngstown had, but they got a very talented team, and they were in a position where they needed to win that game. And I think at the end of the day, you got to give your hats off to both teams for getting the victory. But our team is in a great place. Our mentality has never wavered since we've come back together after the exam period, and we really just sat down and talked about how important it was going to be that we locked in defensively, that we really hung our hat on playing that zone and doing our job. And then Coach changed some things with the offensive system, and it's been great. Our guys they've been such a joy to coach since the end of June to now. They deserve to have a great finish to the season because they're unbelievably high-quality kids. They're high-quality young men on and off the floor, and I think they're all super excited about what's ahead of us. We know now we only have to go on the road for 2 more games, and fortunately, it's a short flight over to Wisconsin and a short flight home, and so it's not going to be one that's going to tax us with long bus rides and that type of thing. And then we get to play a bunch of games at home. We got a huge weekend this weekend. We go to Wisconsin, and then we get IUPUI and the school from the city of Detroit that come into our place, and then senior weekend, which is always an unbelievable special weekend here in the Oakland program. So nothing but excitement, and keep our guys fresh, like we said, but we'll do that, and we'll be ready to go.
Another one here with the hashtag #AskCamp. You can get your questions in here right now. We will get to those as they come in. Giovanni says, what do you guys have to do differently against Youngstown State to beat them potentially in the Horizon League tournament?
Well, I think that the thing we have to be able to do is we've got to find a way to contain it. It's hard to contain 3 guys. And what we found was, like, when we played on Friday night, we had done such a good job on Cohill the first time, and Rush got going. But then McBride, who's only scored, shoot 28% from 3, steps in there and hits us with some zingers, and it's hard. I think for us, the 2 things we have to do to beat Youngstown, we have to do an even better job of being locked in on personnel and taking what they do away. We have to rebound the ball. You cannot give them second and third cracks at it. And then, offensively, we just got to make sure that we do what we do. And I think that it's one of those teams that it's not like you're looking at it going, I don't know how we're going to beat them. It's just they got us. And that's going to happen. And if we get to play them in the tournament, we're going to go in there. We know what we need to do from a game plan standpoint. We just got to go in there and do it.
And Smitty, it's interesting you say that because that was my takeaway too. Because I had somebody ask me on Twitter about that, and that was essentially my answer too. Was they were great in the arena. I mean, they were great. They were magnificent that day. But if anything, I can't remember a time where I felt more confident walking out of a gym where you didn't win the game. And ultimately, yes, there is a definitive line there, the win or the loss. But, just in terms of what you guys were able to do to them, you applied some things in that game, and it showed.
Yeah, and I think that what our guys are figuring out is on the offensive side of it, when we can get the ball from side to side and we don't let the ball stop, especially against teams like Youngstown's giving up 45-46% from the floor overall in the defensive field goal percentage. Not many teams win conference championships doing that. And so that especially when you get into the postseason, when every possession matters even more, and you're in a different gym that's not yours, and it's not the arena, which is a great shooter's gym. Things change and the pressure changes. And we play them again. There's not going to be pressure on us. They're the team right now that everybody thinks is going to win it. So for us, it's like when we get to play, we're just going to go in there and let it all hang out to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, all shots, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It is what it is.
Right. No, and it is too. Games are called different. I mean, this is all reality. This is it. It's not like excuse maker and things like that. I'll show you the box scores.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, we can sit and look at the box scores. Past few games, you guys have only gone about 6 or 7 deep. What do you need to see from your bench players in order for them to get some more minutes?
Well, I mean, I think that as you go through this stuff with your guys, and we've got a great group of guys, but some of them, when you get your opportunity, and we talked about it yesterday. When you get your opportunity, and your opportunity doesn't just come during the games. You have times during practice. And I think that's always one of the most difficult things for fans and certainly for parents of players to understand is that you're not there every day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when we practice. You're not there. Not many people watch us practice on a daily basis. And those guys, our players are evaluated every day. And the one thing I tell all those guys on the bench, if you play for Greg Kampe, you better be ready. Because you never know when he's going to get mad at somebody and he's going to go down that bench, he's going to grab somebody and put you in the game.
It's not even up to you
No,
sometimes.
it's never up to me. Are you kidding?
No, I'm saying like the player.
You got no control over that stuff. And so when you get your opportunity, you need to go out there and you need to perform. And people can say, well, that's not necessarily that's the world we live in. I told a couple of our guys after the game this weekend, I said, you didn't perform very well when you went in. And I said, this is probably a life lesson for you. And sometimes, people think that we're joking when we say this, but part of what we do is preparing these guys for life. You have a job and you can sit there and complain to your friends and complain to your spouse when you get home that you're not getting the opportunity, you didn't get promoted, you didn't get this. And then when you get the opportunity because your boss walks in and says, I need you to do this project, but you're not prepared to do that project, and then you fail, that's on you.
Right.
And, we all have that. We've all gone, like I've been in this profession for almost 30 years now. And, it's the hardest thing to do sometimes is to remind yourself you need to do the things that are supposed to be done when they're supposed to be done. Otherwise, those opportunities will never come for you. And that's the same thing with these guys. And they've got to understand that when their opportunity comes, they've got to step up and answer the bell. And it's going to happen again. Blake tweaks his knee, and all of a sudden, we need another guy. Trey twists his elbow. All of a sudden, we need another guy. And when those guys get that opportunity, they've got to be able to step in and perform. And that's hard, but it's the world we live in.
No, it is, and there's nowhere to hide because when the lights are on, the truth comes out.
I had a football coach in high school. God rest his soul. He was unbelievable. And he used to always say, he's like, the eye in the sky don't lie.
Right.
And he was talking about the film. He's like, you want to talk about what you're doing, what you're not doing. Let's sit down and watch the film. And I think sometimes it's an eye-opening experience for those guys when they come in and you've got clips to show them and from practice and games. Say, now, if you were coaching this team, would you play you? And it's hard, but at the end of the day, our job is to try to help them develop as players, help them develop as part of the team. And then when they get the opportunity, they got to produce.
Smitty, I got one for you here, and it just kind of popped in my head. Now, for some people that don't know, you said it, you've been in this game almost 30 years. You've been at every level, too. You've been in the Pac-12. You've been at the Power 5. As you look at the state of college basketball today versus – all right, moving on. But as you look at the state of college basketball today versus 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, what are you seeing right now?
Well, I think that the last 2 years since the pandemic, it's a completely different era. Watched things happen in college basketball. The rules have changed back again. The recruiting process, all those things, like everything, it has really, truly been circular. You've seen things come and go and then come back again. With NIL and the portal and the non-sit part of the transfer thing, it has changed everything. The level of parity, you look at some of the traditional blue bloods, if you will, of college basketball and see them struggle, it's because things have changed. What used to have to be done behind closed doors, so to speak, it's right out there in front of everybody now.
Right.
And, you can literally, legally go buy a team. And that has changed. The impact from social media and the internet, it has changed. It's changed the world, but it certainly has changed college basketball. And the scrutiny that the players are under, the scrutiny that the coaches are under has ramped up. But across the board, seeing the parity that is college basketball now, you're talking about, you watch Kentucky. Kentucky, used to be, everybody with Michigan State's went over Kentucky meant something. Right now, that wouldn't mean anything. When do you think that was ever going to happen?
Pundits saying that was just two mid teams playing each other.
And it's, now you see where it's just truly become even across the board. And I think that even in our level, you're starting to see, in the fact that you've got guys that are, Youngstown's got 5 guys that are in their 6th year. Detroit's got a bunch of guys that are 5th and 6th year guys. They got a guy that exhausted his eligibility and got a waiver from the NCAA to get another semester. And that's what you're seeing is guys that should be playing their 2nd and 3rd year professionally are, getting their 18th degree somewhere now,
right.
And so, that's changed it. It's crushed high school basketball recruiting. Unless you're at the highest level, this is the least amount of high school basketball games I've ever seen in my entire career. And it's because to take a kid who's 18 and know that if you develop him and he does anything and averages 12 points a game as a sophomore, he's gone. Well, you're better off waiting until he does it as a sophomore than bring him in to play for you for 2 years. And so it's, people want to complain about it, and it is what it is. I mean, it's here. We have to deal with it. We got to embrace it. We got to understand it. And we got to have our fans and our supporters understand it, because it is truly different, and it's not going back.
No, and that is. And speaking of not going back, we've heard from Pittsburgh Marty, by the way, who was listening in on the show, and he says, "I stand corrected. It was a cheesesteak hoagie." It's all in capital letters. It was nice meeting you, Coach Smitty. Next year, you're coming with us, and I'll make you a believer. I'll answer this one for Coach Smitty. Marty, he will not be a believer about lettuce on his cheesesteak.
Can't do it now. You can call it a hoagie anything you want, but I can't put lettuce on cheesesteak.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, I wasn't going to speak for Coach Smitty, but I spoke for Coach Smitty there. I figured that would be the case. We'll take our final break, and then when we come back, we'll wrap this thing up. We'll look ahead to the weekend and also at the Horizon League standings as well. And remember, the Greg Kampe Show is brought to you by the Pino Insurance Agency, LLC of MEMIC Insurance. They cater to the educational market. If you're looking for affordable insurance and a knowledgeable insurance agency, go online to pinoinsurance.com today. That's PINO Insurance.com today. We'll be back with more of the Greg Kampe Show live from RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills.
Oh, it is.
I had to make reference to the food. Coach would have let that go.
Yeah. There's lettuce on it. We give us a check. What's lettuce on a cheesesteak?
I never see anything like
It's good. Pittsburgh Marty does.
that. Apparently in Moon Township, that's how they eat it.
The other side of the state.
Never fly. No way. It's like they used to have the discoveries University of Philadelphia Business School. There was a cheesesteak person. That's what all the coaches were doing. Go in, just get a sandwich and go back. Try to stay awake all night. Get yourself a Dunkin' on the way back.
Wow. 30 seconds. Calling you up, Smith. All right, copy. Welcome back to RJ's Pub here in Rochester Hills. Final segment of the Greg Kampe Show. My name is Neil Rule, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies. Associate head coach Jeff Smith in place of Greg Kampe this week in the Greg Kampe Show, brought to you by Henry Ford Sports Medicine, the official team physicians for Oakland University and you. For more info, visit henryford.com/athletes. Smitty, before we take a look ahead to this weekend's action and hope to see everybody out at the arena this Thursday and this Saturday, I brought it up with Blake, and the Horizon League standings right now, since we've been here, I've never seen it like this before. Youngstown State 9-3, Milwaukee 9-3, Cleveland State 9-3, Northern Kentucky 9-3, Golden Grizzlies 7-5, with a lot of these teams coming through the arena before this season ends. This is crazy. And then right behind us, you got Purdue, Fort Wayne, Wright State, Robert Morris. They're all 6-6. This is a trip to the craps table, right? Where you're going to take two dice and throw it, and however it comes out, it comes out.
It's going to come down to, I think, at the end of the day, if teams that finish 1 through 4, they're going to be the ones that stay the healthiest through all of this. You look at, Youngstown. Obviously, we've lost twice too, but Milwaukee we beat, Northern Kentucky we beat at Northern Kentucky, and so I think when you look at it, anybody can beat anybody. Wright State went through their struggles, but they're a dangerous team because they're so good offensively. Robert Morris, they showed yesterday. I mean, they went in and they beat Wright State or Wright State too.
They got two elite players.
Elite players. And they got two guys that can absolutely shoot the blood out of the ball.
Right.
And if you let them get going, then you're in for a long night. And so I think that, and part of it goes back to the question you asked about college basketball and what's changed. You look at these teams that are, Milwaukee. Bart gets the job in Milwaukee. He goes out and he signs a whole bunch of JUCO kids, and they've all been good. Freeman. I mean, people forget Freeman averaged 9 points a game at Dodge City last year. I saw him play twice, and he was good because he was athletic. He could rebound, but it wasn't like he was scoring 30.
Right.
Now he's out there and he's smoking people. And so for us, as you look at it, you just got to stay the course. And like you said, we've got a lot of basketball left. We got a lot of games in the arena. We need our fans and our students to show up and do their part. And we're going to have our team prepared. And you heard from Blake. I mean, those guys are locked in. I mean, they want to.
They know the score.
They do. They know what's going on. And that's why this weekend is so huge. For us, when we played these two teams in December, it was a different team. It's not even close to where we are now. Now, does that mean it's going to translate into 2 wins? Only if we come out and defend, rebound, and take care of the basketball. If we do that and we get these two, we stay right in the hunt to have a shot at this team.
Speaking of that, this weekend, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Purdue Fort Wayne in the house. Saturday, 1 o'clock, Cleveland State. Don't forget, too, the Hall of Honor ceremony coming up at the Marriott on Saturday night as well. Go to goldengrizzlies.com for ticket information. Love to see everybody get out there for all of it. And, we'll start with Purdue Fort Wayne, Smitty. And it's interesting you said that the way you did because, I haven't looked at the film as of yet. Usually I go back and catch a couple minutes of the game. But, as you said, I don't recognize that team that was out there. We're talking like 2 months ago, which is a lifetime in college basketball. It's half the season almost, as a matter of fact. So, what's got to change? And again, remember too, Purdue Fort Wayne had their first game on ESPN, on their campus ever. So wash, rinse, repeat, right?
Yeah, and I think Cleveland State just absolutely. I mean, they just beat us like a drum and laughed at us while they were doing it. And it was where we were going through a tough stretch. And I think our guys emotionally and mentally they were unsure. We had gone through all that stuff with the injuries, the preseason schedule being as brutal as it was. And, I just don't know that our guys really felt very good about themselves. And it's such a credit to them and who they are because they came back after final exams. When we got off the plane after the Syracuse game, our guys, they just knew, okay, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We just have to get healthy. And they came back we took a few days off. We came back. And, I'm telling you, we have not had a bad practice. We have had some practices that haven't been great. But for the most part, every day, our guys have practiced hard and they practiced with purpose. And because of that, we put ourselves in a position to be where we are now. Cleveland State, Fort Wayne, 2 very, very good teams, veteran teams, guys who have been through it. Godfrey, again, 5th-year guy. Chonqui, 5th year. I mean, you got right on down the line, right? And then Cleveland State comes in, a bunch of 5th-year guys that have been to the tournament, have won the league. They understand it. And so, for us, our guys know what's in front of us, and we got to take it one, it sounds cliche, but we really got to take it one game at a time. We got to concentrate on getting the win, being ahead by 1 when it's over on Thursday. Come in Friday morning, get the prep locked in, and then 1 o'clock Saturday, let it all hang out, be 1 point ahead when it's over.
And for me, Smitty, and the media guy in me wants to say, well, 34 is different now than 34 was. Of course, talking about Jalen Moore, like this is the Jalen Moore that led the nation in assists. I mean, that explosive step, that little hesitation and duck in from the elbow, and boom, he's gone, and he's to the cup and can create however he needs to create through that. To me, that's the biggest thing, and I would assume that's the biggest thing to you and the biggest thing to the team.
Yeah, I mean, we've said from day one, we're going to go as Jalen does, and Jalen couldn't go in November and early December. He tried mightily. And one thing about Jalen, he's unbelievably competitive. He's a tremendously bright and gifted guy, and this is his last go-around. He's so locked in, but all of that aside, who he is as a person, he's healthy as a player. And when he's healthy, I mean, he's been the best point guard in our league for 3 years since he's been here. And, I wish we had him for another year. I wish we could get a 6th year for him. I know he's ready to move on to his professional career, but he doesn't want to do it until we go to the tournament. That's his whole thing, his whole mindset. It's not about leading the country in assists. It's not about leading the conference in scoring. He's not about any of that stuff. He's about getting to the tournament. And Blake's that way. Trey is that way. They want to do it for you, heard them. They want to do it for Keaton and Jalen. And they talk about that every day because that's who this group of guys is.
But you look at it too with Jalen, and obviously the shot didn't go down at Youngstown State.
Shocking.
It was surprising.
Yeah.
When it left his hand, I fully expected that thing because it always does.
It never seems to miss it.
Yeah, it always does, and it was surprising. But you have that in your back pocket now, which you did not have. Obviously, you don't want to go to that.
Right.
You'd rather just win by 15 and we all move on.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, but that is there now. That was not there before.
Yeah, and I think it's created a level of, I don't want to say fear for our opponents, but I think it's a level of thought where they've got to keep in their mind, this dude is a guy that's a game changer. What he did in that second half in Callahan Hall. The guy that plays for them obviously is a tremendously talented dude and does a lot of great things. But there was no question that night in Callahan Hall who the best player on the floor was, and he's been that way since he's been healthy. And I'm the only thing disappointing for him is that he wasn't healthy when we played in that non-conference schedule where he could really, really showcase himself against some of those high-level guys. But, it is what it is, and he's playing great. He's as good a player as there is in this league. And I think with the guys around him who he loves being with, and he leads our guys, and they listen to him and they follow him, who knows where this thing will go.
What can you do? Because again, whenever you look at rough times for this basketball team, it's usually been on the glass, and rebounding has been the reason why. Coach Kampe said, "This is what we are. I mean, this is the team that we are." What can you guys do as a staff? Just from a philosophical standpoint, from an X's and O's standpoint, how can you go about making a change in that? Can you not? Is it just a mentality thing? How does that work?
No, it's there's a couple of things that we've tried from a schematic standpoint,
right? And
it's hard because again, at the end of the day, you're going against guys sometimes that you might be just physically outmatched. Unfortunately, we don't have a 6'10", 6'11", 7-foot guy that can just go get every one of them. And some nights we've been really, really good.
Right.
And Trey and Keaton are both very good rebounders. The nights when Jalen is locked in and he goes and gets us 4 or 5. What I think we figured out that if we're going to really be able to do this, it's got to be done by committee. We need Rocket to do a better job rebounding. And he knows it, and it's in his mind. He's trying to do it. But I think for us, the one thing we can do that will help is that we've got to continue to keep the ball from being penetrated to the paint, because where we give up a lot of offensive rebounds are in situations where if we're broken down off the dribble and we get distorted in the zone, now guys are running by us as the shot's being taken.
And there's gaps.
There's gaps. Yeah. There's lanes for them to run through. And we knew this was going to be an Achilles heel for us this year. We tried to do everything we can to identify it. We try to do everything we can to work on it. And at the end of the day, we just need to do it. We're going to get an unbelievable test. The Petty kid from Fort Wayne he's as gifted of an offensive rebounder as you're going to see in this league. He's a lot like Chris Brandon, who's at Northern Kentucky. They just give you fits. And the rest of their team doesn't offensive rebound that way, but he does. And so we're going to be up for it this weekend. And then Cleveland State, they got every rebound in the game down there. I think they were getting rebounds in high school gyms, that night. And so we're going to get tested, and we got to step up and meet that. But I think our guys, again, they know it. They know what needs to be done. Now we just got to go do it.
Do we oversell that in the media that, you go to Cleveland State and they got us. They got us pretty good. You made no bones about that. Do we oversell that? Do the guys think about that? Is it just another game?
No, I think they knew that night. That night might have been one of the might have been the moment that changed our whole season. We had a meeting in that locker room after that game, and that was where you could see, because we didn't play well against Fort Wayne, and we went to overtime, but we played hard and we competed. And I think that moment at Cleveland State might have changed the trajectory of this team. Now, does that mean we'll win on Saturday? No, but we're going to have to take care of business and do what we need to do. But this team understands what it needs to do to win. We've got unbelievable support from our fans and from our students, and we're appreciative of that. And what we got to do now is we got to take advantage of this opportunity to play these games at home through the month of February and see where the chips fall.
Absolutely. Well, Smitty, great job here stepping in the pinch hitting role, man. I always like chopping it up with you on the
Appreciate
pregame show
Yeah.
as well. I always have some good conversation. Big thank you to everybody, too, that came out here tonight. Another huge crowd. Certainly we're grateful for that. Hope to see you at the Arena this Thursday, this Saturday, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Cleveland State. So, for Blake Lampman and for Coach Smith, my name is Neil Rule, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies. Thanks for listening to the Greg Kampe Show live from RJ's Club in Rochester Hills. Well, see you later. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it, man.